Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's tournament. It is a big one at that. It is the UMG Prime $2,500 4v4 variant, of course, taking place currently here on January 5th. Of course, it's myself, Landon Lando Sanders, live here from the UMG studio. But, of course, I am not alone. I am not the only person casting this one tonight. I also have Jen, a.k.a. Lemon Kiwi, joining me along from home. Jen, hello, yeah, we can have both on screen. We actually got the kind of camera set up, so it's obviously a nice little look for everything tonight. But Jen, how are you feeling about the variant tonight? You're kind of excited to be casting again, because we actually were in the same position yesterday, but kind of a lot more teams, a lot higher of a prize pool. But how are you doing overall?
I'm doing great, and yes, like you said, there is a lot more on the line than yesterday's $300 tournament. We got $2,500 here on the line, and lots of professional teams, and even teams from yesterday's tournament looking to maybe avenge their loss or things like that. But we've got a great match here of GGEA Orange versus
Amity.
Amity. So why don't you tell us about these teams? You're like the encyclopedia of players.
Not exactly. There's actually a wiki that exists, but no, I appreciate it. Yeah, we have two pretty solid teams. I think it's fair to say both these teams had fairly high placements when it came down to Dallas. GGEA Orange, I believe, was officially announced today. The GGEA organization actually announced picking up two different teams. I think it was Johnny and Stamino Squad are known as GGEA Blue, and the old Allegiance team, which is fully kind of came over toward the branding now of GGEA Orange, is obviously now on this team as well. But this group, of course, the Orange team, plays top 20 at Dallas. Same group, very, very consistent group of players, which I'm very interested to see how they'll be playing tonight. They have a number of different kind of additives coming into tonight's tournament. They have a facility, which I believe they're training in right now, along with the guys from the Blue Squad as well. And they also have the involvement of Tyler TP Polchow, of course, multiple-time champion, world champion at that. I believe current coach for Optic Gaming, too. So to kind of have him in the background, kind of giving some, you know, obviously words of wisdom, some communication, some coaching ability, I think is really going to help these guys out a lot when it comes down to the future of even tournaments like this one. And of course, they're kind of all building up to CWL. Noah, tournaments like that when it comes down to LAN. I mean, the Allegiance guys, Spoof, Believe, Mayhem, and Nova, I think throughout different points in their career, whether it was on STDX or when it was Spoof who was on Lethal, I mean, they have kind of slowly but surely in their respective teams in the past, which of course now join up together, they have always kind of been known as like the stars for their teams, and it's now kind of like an all-star group as far as like top semi-pro team players, and are now kind of formed up on this particular lineup. And obviously had a very solid finish at Dallas. They finished top 20, and I think generally this group is only going to get better, of course, along with the involvement of TP now. They have a solid organization under them with the GGEA. Not really familiar with that org necessarily, but I think this is only going to be good for them. I mean, I know from an aspect of adding in a coach, especially one like TP, like I said, along with the organization change, I think we only see positives from this group kind of continuing on. Jen, what about you?
Well, yeah, like you pretty much hit the nail in the coffin of having TP as your coach, one of the best in the business, and also being, you know, contracted by Optic. You know, he's the guy to have on your team, and we're looking forward also to get to know GGEA Orange as either they move throughout our bracket, or if maybe it'll end here as we are in round number 3 of this enormous bracket. So we hope that you guys stay patient. Was it round number 4? Okay, we are
round 4. Yeah, actually, I think that
round number 4. Yeah, this is moving quite quickly. It's a large bracket, so we hope you guys can stay patient with us as we try to get into these lobbies. I know we started a little bit late, but we've got so many great matches that it's going to be totally worth the patience.
Oh, for sure. We've had, obviously, 79 teams. We're kind of starting to get down to like the top 32, top 16 area, of course, around the bracket. But, of course, almost nearly 80 teams, $2,500 prize pool, a number of awesome squads. But, of course, we do talk about GGEA being one of them. The other group that we obviously have to talk about is the guys on Amity, who are obviously be facing off against them when it comes down to this current matchup here. In round number 4, apparently, that's the exact round to be specific. But Amity, of course, they end up, I believe, making a change toward this group. I want to say Cinder was playing for Underworld Esports, or Underworld GG, probably one of those titles at the end, and ended up leaving that group, kind of implementing himself in front of Mosh. So Mosh ends up leaving the roster. Cinder kind of comes on, teaming with his prior squad and Diabolic and Happy. Of course, those guys kind of go back in the day in Black Ops 3, where they teamed under things like Dream Team. I know him and Diabolic would later kind of go on to face off with RNG as well. And this group, of course, with Mosh in place of Cinder, ended up having a top 28 placement at Dallas as well. So both these teams had a very solid placement. And I think generally, Jen, we can kind of talk about the scape of Call of Duty right now as interesting, because normally when it came down to an open MLG tournament or any any open tournament for that matter. It was, you know, like a top 64 placement. It was like, okay, those guys are washed. Like those are the lowest of low, bottom AM players. But now, honestly, like a top 64, a top 40 placement is like, okay, like you did pretty well. Like there are a number of different awesome players who are kind of in the community now, and I think overall, even like maybe like the last 2-3 years, I think it's fair to say the overall competition level has without question raised.
Of course, and all this competition are also practicing for the upcoming event. You saw some of these, even professional teams, don't want to share their strategies. They're trying to keep their streams pretty locked down. If you check out Clayster's streams or anybody else that are streaming currently, the strategies are being kept secret, and there's actually a lot of good matches that are going on behind the scenes. United versus LG, which didn't that match just get reported or something? I think it went to map number 3. So that's something you'll have to, guys, keep track on into the bracket. Other pro teams. What other teams? I think Saga. I think Canadian squad lost pretty early in that bracket as well.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that because I know you're a pretty big fan when it comes down to the Saga guys, just because of the location. I know you're obviously not in Canada anymore, but you know, we've kind of adapted you over to the States. I think it's fair to say we've kind of taken you away and. Obviously,
I've converted. I've converted.
Yeah. You're no longer saying A still and sorry and all those things.
Oh, I've never ever said that in my life, but at least
really?
I have proper pronunciation of this map coming up of Hardpoint Sainte-Marie-du-Mont.
There you go.
Here, a French map, and I know you still say it kind of well.
I try so hard. I really do. Like every time I say it, I'm like, okay, here it comes, and fail. So that's kind of how it goes for me. But yeah. But of course, like I said, hopping into map number 1. Jen already said it. I'm not going to repeat it. But of course, it will be Sainte Marie. Not going to go any farther. Of course, for map number 1. Map number 2 will be Search and Destroy on London Docks. And map number 3 will be CTF on Armed Force. Of course, if it does come down to it, keeping in mind, these are best of 3s. And I have sadly just been informed that we are going to be stuck in the overhead point of view for this first map. It is a Concaster glitch. Unfortunately, stream, we cannot do anything about this. If anything, if you guys would like to, feel free to obviously tweet at, you know, I don't even know, people, and kind of get these things in their way. But we do apologize for that. However, nothing that we can do. But still, locking and starting things off here on Sainte Marie, as it is going to be Amity taking off against the first time, I think, ever officially in GGEA Orange.
Yeah, and this first hill here, you can see Diabolic's lining up your kill feed, but eventually does get traded here by Believe, getting a nade onto him. And what we're going to be currently here on board here with Happy, although we are stuck here in top down, you can see the setup, and you're not going to be able to see what level everybody is on, but nonetheless, huge 2-piece out of Sender. Amity is in a huge lead right now.
Oh, and Sender is lightening it up there. 4-in-1 break. Of course, you can obviously see the spawns currently being in play. There's 18 seconds left inside of bottom red. Keeping in mind that rotation that's going to be made toward Winery is going to be incredibly important, but it looks like player number 1, Remy, might have made it behind enemy line. Spoofs is there to pick him up. So while it is a negative off the start here, if you are in the books of GGEA Orange, you have to also be aware that they have full control of that spawn for the moment. And if we know anything about Sainte Marie-du-Mont, especially watching in our tournament last night, Jen, is that hill number 2 and hill number 3 are so important. Winery and parking lot. I mean, I think we were seeing it was pretty much dominance when it came down to like 1, 2, and 4 from one squad, and then just a dominant hold on one of the money hills totally brought them back in it. So while it is obviously a negative off the start, you got to imagine that this deficit will no longer be one as they're locking things down in Winery are the boys on Orange.
Yeah, the boys on Orange also have complete spawn control here on Winery lot, looking to make up for that loss of pretty much losing that entire time to Amity. But let's keep an eye here on Sender, coming through the top as well, who's going to be trying to flip the spawns here in Amity's favor, while the rest were trying to come through the right middle side. Unfortunately, the kill's not going in their way, but now pushing 3 towards the spawn, able to take over that in the last 13 seconds here of Winery. They're able to get the scrap time and just barely take that lead back as we head into parking lot on the complete top right side of the map, where now the spawns for that hill are currently in favor here of GGEA Orange.
Yeah, so back-to-back hills, in some cases money hills, both going at least in initial control for the guys on GGEA Orange. Definitely a worthy exchange when it comes down to losing the last 10 seconds, but guaranteeing spawns when it comes in a parking lot. It looks like a few players off the start trying to break their way in for Amity. It looks like Sender and Co. trying to make their way forward. Sender still playing pretty solid right now. 8-4, of course, double positive. Maybe he could be working on some streaks if he can try to add up some more of those kill totals, but it looks like Mayhem, Believe, looks like 4 down for the guys on Amity. As you see that backside spawn nowhere near parking lot at the moment, and the question is currently being, do we kind of force that issue into parking lot, or are we trying to focus our attention back toward lookout post? It looks like they are going to ignore parking lot and realize the situation at hand, as I believe we do see some streaks coming from above. It looks like it is going to be Believe who's currently rocking those out. 10-4 for this one. He's actually on a 7 spree right now. Is Believe. Didn't even realize that. He's on an 8 spree now. SMG up close. He's the frontline man, and he is definitely lining it up as we see 100 points to 52, as it looks like the Money Hill rotations work out successfully for the guys on GGEA Orange, as Believe is continuing to dominate 12-5, as he is definitely the major factor, is the reason why his squad was able to get those rotations in, and obviously the reason why they hold nearly around a, 40-second lead.
Yeah, that was a Believe really having that 7th streak back into parking lot. Now here on Lookout Post, you actually notice that Amity in this overview that we're stuck in had complete control of top restaurant, able to rain down in the hill, but it was really GGEA Orange that had most of the time here on Lookout Post. But it looks like Amity are able to get back this last bit of scrap time, even though we saw some streaks coming in for GGEA Orange to try and clear out the hill. You can see both teams are now trying to focus on that restaurant control, where it's currently in favor here of Amity, but that scrap time now going in favor of GGEA Orange, and a 60-plus point lead. It's looking good for them. But on the second rotation of hills, this is where Amity really shined here on this first hill.
Yeah, they absolutely did, and then that was the thing where we started to see Cinder kind of line it up. I think he went on like a 4 or 5 spree inside of the hard point, but you also see players starting to flank around. I believe that Spoofs with the SMG trying to do some work from the flank. Finds 2 and nearly finds the 3rd. Happy is there to pick him up, but this is the thing, when you are in Amity's position, those blue arrows have to be aware of now their current spawn. They actually end up flipping them, and this is bad news for them because they're having to realize the attention that's going down in restaurant. They have to kind of adapt to that, but they also have to be aware of the kind of bigger position at hand that, hey, we don't have to preferred spawns. We're losing time in restaurant, and we at least have to try to stop the bleeding by making that rotation toward Winery. And you also see one player trying to make his way through Lookout Post at the bottom of your screen. Not exactly sure who that was, but I believe trying to make a sneaky push might have been Remy, because we actually saw him do a similar thing in that last round. But it looks like, no, it will be Cinder, as this is a big battle toward the bottom of the screen of the Concaster. Is currently having some problems, so we do apologize for that. But does get targeted, as it looks like the last few seconds of Restaurant will go the way of Amity. In the end, it's not that much of a positive, just because we talked about how influential Winery is, and GGEA Orange adapting to such, as they did so in the first set of rotations, and yet again doing it again, as they are 3 for 3 in initial kind of spawn control of those Money Hills.
Oh, look at this push from behind from Spoofs. Already got 1, 2. Can he get the 3rd kill? No, he gets traded out in that process. But that was really to shut down at least 50% of Amity's push, going for the spawns. Huge 2-piece there from OK Believe to even out the numbers. But it's really GGEA Orange that had initial spawn control and are really holding on to it now. You can see Amity pushing 3 players towards the bottom, but it's Mayhem already shutting down 2. Make it 3. Can he go for the ace? It looks like that last player from Amity is going to decide to disengage. No, comes from behind and cuts down his teammate. Nonetheless, huge lead here for GGEA Orange on Winery Lot. Now with 13 seconds remain, we head over into parking lot on the top right side of the map, where you can see those arrows here from Amity are pretty nicely set up for it, but here come the streaks.
See if the streaks can try to break something open, as Believe takes out Happy. Keeping in mind, where is he going to be spawning at is the question at hand, as 3 do fall for GGEA Orange, making their way, coming through Radio Tower, trying to force the issue inside, but it looks like 4 go down, but it looks like one of them was actually a team kill. Cinder takes out his own squad mate, and we'll see how this push can potentially be changed, as nades flying back and forth, as desperate points, desperate seconds needing to go the way of Amity, as nades, of course, being tossed in from the Amity base, as Happy takes out Nova. And you see the SMG players up close, trying to form a little bit of a bait switch situation as they try to force their way inside, getting numbers, as it looks like it could work out for them. Remy drops inside of the hard point, and it looks like Cinder's the last person here, as it looks like the last 20 seconds will go the way of GGEA Orange. And I think really what kind of broke down this kind of push from Winery into parking lot was a factor of kind of Amity realizing that, hey, we lost Winery, let's go and back up a little bit. But they are kind of playing a little bit too aggressively. They kind of don't back up kind of, you know, progressively enough. They don't play enough patience, and they kind of end up getting taken out before they can even get to that hill. So I think it was a really good rotation that we see coming in from GGEA Orange from Winery into parking lot. It takes them a while to break it, but once they do, of course, we see the scoring differential as this match does conclude. I mean, if it was Amity in the situation, they probably would have made the rotation with 20 seconds left on the hard point, but you're in the lead. You have full control. You can do whatever you want right now, and obviously taking advantage of that lead, as currently it is a kind of a constant 2 versus 1, as Amity is obviously facing off against the guys on GGEA Orange. They're also facing off against the score as well as the time. So with that in the back of their mind, they do have a lot of pressure, but it seems that they're holding pretty well when it comes in a lookout post, as Cinder, kind of a one-man wrecking crew sitting inside of the hard point, but having players come in from different points of view, as it looks like 3 do go down. Amity now left to reset, as it will be the guys finally from GGA Orange breaking inside a lookout post with 10 seconds kind of on the horizon. We'll see how that rotation gets made when it comes down to the next hill, which will be on bottom red.
Yeah, only a couple seconds left into lookout, and Amidia really struggling to keep control of. Of course, it was back into parking lot where they had the setup for, and in 35 seconds they're able to build off of that before Orange did get the scrap time back onto lookout post. Amidia really showed their potential here and really trying to close the gap. But here into restaurant, we've all loaded up. You can see these arrows from Orange are all over the place. Amidia now pushing 2 players in, and they're going to get easily cut out there. Let's see if maybe this last player that ended up breaking into the hill will be able to make something happen. But all 4 players here from Orange are stacked, and they're cleaning up your feed now. 231 to 158. I mean, Orange could maybe close it out on here, but they'll probably have to make sure they have rotations over to Winery lot ready. But it's currently in favor of Amidia for those spawns.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when we're taking a look at a score like this, I mean, there are a number of different factors. This is the reason why Amity is not going to win this map. Number one is the last few seconds are getting ready to take down, as this one is going to be closed out 250 to 158. Of course, we do apologize for the Skycam being locked in. That is a glitch that unfortunately is in the game at the moment. Nothing that we can currently do about that. But like I said, kind of getting back to this game, as we can see Cinder having at least a few highlights throughout St. Marie de Mont at the beginning of the game, as I believe he ended up going on like a 5 or 6 spree there. But, I mean, there was a number of different issues, I think it's fair to say, with Amity. Because we saw, of course, this line differential. I think toward the end of the game, there was an 8-team streak for the guys on GGEA Orange. We saw Spoofs having some really good moments, Believe, and I think Nova was kind of one of the last players who ended off with a 6 or 7 spree. But kind of getting back into the overall scheme of this game, I think the slang differential was obviously a problem, but also the rotations. I think at one point it was around 3 out of the 4 money hills, of course, 2 different sized rotations that we ended up witnessing, and GGA Orange was rotating every single time. So I think if you are the guys on Amity, you have to kind of realize the landscape of what happened in this series, just because of the fact that, hey, we got outslayed, but we also lost the rotation battle. I mean, there was a number of different factors that kind of went on throughout that game that were a problem. It wasn't that, hey, we just didn't slay well that game, or hey, we just didn't rotate. It was kind of both things coming in, and obviously it resulted in the score that we see there. Overall dominant victory for GGEA as we get ready to load up here for some London Docks Search and Destroy.
Of course, exactly. You hit it right there. As Orange really showed their potential, holding pretty much both Winery lot rotations. And Amity were struggling to hold lookout posts on the first rotation. On the second rotation, they got a lot more time there. But it's really restaurant and lookout posts that Amity got any points on. And like you said, GA Orange just had the better rotations, and holding Winery and most of parking lot made it a pretty dominated win. As we already have the Search and Destroy here loaded up on London Docks as we head into the game now. Players still deciding what lobby we're going into, but let us know your predictions in the chat. This is a best of 3, so perhaps Orange could be taking this all the way.
Definitely could, as it looks like we will unfortunately be seeing a little bit of a reset, but I think it kind of at least gives us a little bit more time to obviously talk about how London Docks will kind of be playing it. We were kind of rushed into what will be a map number 2, but generally, I think when it comes into Search and Destroy, of course, kind of transitioning from that hard point, it's obviously a defeating loss for Amity, but this is a group of guys who have obviously played this game for a while now, right? We talked about Diabolic, we talked about Cinder, how kind of veterans these guys have been throughout their entire career, along with Happy, right? We also have Remy. I mean, this guy in Advanced Warfare ends up finishing 2nd at the entire World Championship for a reason, of course, on Team Revenge and whatnot. Like, these guys have been on the biggest stage possible. So an online tournament like this, I don't really think that I don't want to say that they're confidence is obviously lost. They've been in situations much worse than this. And I think in Search and Destroy, this has kind of been a game mode for a lot of these players, and on the respective teams as well. Diabolic, Cinder, and Happy, of course, back on DT and Black Ops 3. We talked about Remy's roster back in AW. Those were teams that were developed on Search and Destroy and kind of winning that S&D and that CTF and/or uplink, depending on the title, of course. Those are the maps they kind of relied on. So while it is obviously a pretty big defeating loss when it comes to a hard point, I don't think they're stressing too much. Granted, best of 3s are a little bit iffy to try to be a good Search and Destroy team, just because there obviously are a lot of issues with kind of being obviously down in a series and only having one map to kind of obviously decide your fate. But I think they're feeling a lot more confident when it comes into Search and Destroy. However, I also will counter that with the fact that we are playing London Docks. This is a very, very fast-paced, Search and Destroy map. You're going to see rounds going by pretty quick. And if that favors anyone, I think it's fair to say it does favor the higher slaying team, which is currently GGA Orange. So I think this is going to be a pretty highly contested fight. But if I'm Amity, I'm trying to get a few rounds early on the board just to kind of erase what was a pretty big defeating loss in that first match.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to see a little bit more potential from Amity here in the Search and Destroy. But let's kick it off here on London Docks. Steven Diabolic will be your bomb carrier heading towards the water side of the map. But it's Spoofs that will be already on the other side here of A-Side, who actually comes through the doorway and is able to get the first blood here onto Steven Diabolic, who actually drops the bomb as well. And Rem is not even there to finish off the kill, so already 2 down for Amity. It's not looking good.
Yeah, and honestly, I think in that situation, as Nova picks up the third, I mean, this really kind of gets all broken down as Amity not necessarily not being fully aware, but it was a situation where Spoof kind of walks up, obviously we're going to see him here in this exact position, kind of walks up toward that side water, picks off one player, and the reason why Remy isn't there to kind of watch over his teammate is because he has the sniper rifle, and that's kind of an awkward scenario where it's kind of the initial player who ends up dying for the first blood. It's kind of his fault for not checking that side corner, but at the same time, it's like, you know, Remy, like, where are you at, man? Like, of course, they don't even find a single kill. Spoof finishes off with a hat trick in round 1. That was just a pretty big error if you're on the side of Amity in that situation, not really being and having your sniper rifle be aware of the situation at hand. But still, round number 1 loss. We'll see how they try to rebound, as it looks like Cinder finds the first blood here off the start of this round number 2.
Well, this is looking a lot better for Amity. They get first blood, but then get first and second blood right after that. Is Spoofs now moving towards the A-bomb site, and I believe he is getting the bomb down now. Let's take a look at him. Pretty much 3/4 of the way done, and they got a Mayhem even pushed up after getting that kill on to Remy. So Diabolic will be coming from the very back of water, but where is Happy? He's going to be over at the middle statue side, so they're going to try and pinch this from both sides, and I believe Mayhem should try and get some sights onto him, but Steven Diabolic turns and burns on the Spoofs, making this a 2-2 scenario.
Yep, so they're trying to break this one. Diabolic coming from one side. Happy finds the kill on Believe, and just like that, Spoof falls. So a successful retake coming in from the guys on Amity. As if you wanted confidence, that's exactly the way to grab it. As along with 2 kills in the round there for Mr. Steven. He'll also be grabbing the defuse and getting closer toward those streaks, which of course do come into play. And I'm curious for this next offensive round, what Amity does. Do they kind of give the bomb back toward Diabolic to kind of let him play for streaks? Or are they trying to make a typical B push? Because of course we kind of see the opposite side of the two normally get challenged on both offensive rounds. But, of course, we'll be able to witness how this one does play off. And it looks like we could be seeing again, as it looks like the smoke is tossed out. A bomb is going to be in Diabolic's hands, so maybe playing off streaks, but he has no one to kind of defend him. He's the front line of defense. As needing to take out Spoofs here, does, in fact, find that kill. So kills being responded as Nova is able to drop Cinder. 2 versus 3, man count advantage right now in favor of defense, which is GGA Orange. Nice play from Nova with the sniper rifle lingering through mid-statue. Believe is there for the pickup. But the Diabolic playing for his life. Remy just needs to find a pick to try to make sure this round can be secured. And now in this situation, Diabolic trying to go for the rush plant. Can he get this one down? This is big for his overall streaks. And what could be the rest of this game. 25 points off and spots Believe. Needs to find this kill, but can't make it happen. A huge pick for Believe will be awarded. The defuse, which I believe he might give over toward Nova. Yes, we'll be able to do that. But 25 points off streaks for Diabolic. I mean, that is just absolutely crushing when it comes into Amity's overall confidence in the future of what could be the next few rounds here, Jen.
Well, that was just a weird 2-2 scenario on the offense. Like, he was getting the bomb down, and his teammate was losing a gunfight over at the statue side. So perhaps would have been nicer to have his teammate close to him or in a more power position to win that gunfight that he should have won there. Nonetheless, let's take a look here at Nova and friends. They're going to be back onto the offense, giving Spoofs the bomb this time. And now they're deciding which bomb they want to go to. They had some smoke strategies earlier, but perhaps it's going to be B site. That's going to be the one to go to. And you can see Happy here. Let's take a look at him. He's going to be in this mid-statue side watching over, and he's going to be the one that's watching crossover at B and should be able to spot this push going towards B, and even Spoofs could be winning this fight. And no, it's Cinders and Diabolic who are cleaning up the feed, already 2 down, but there's a trade here onto Diabolic, still 3 versus 1. Believe the last one left before he gets sniped, and now a 2-2 split for both.
And you can't leave this guy Remy alone with the sniper rifle. I mean, it will absolutely make you pay for it every single time. Probably the best sniper player in this entire match, or in this lobby rather, as definitely showing the reason why that could be the case. As taking out the final 2, and speaking of such, we are level at it, heading into round number 5. Good confidence obviously being given toward the guys of Amity, as the bomb will be placed in the hands of Cinder. So yet again, another push out of the 5 rounds. 4 of them have been made toward this A-bomb site. The one that didn't work obviously happened last round, and obviously we're seeing Diabolic start to make something happen, totally clearing out this A-bomb site. First 2 kills found, and now Mayhem and Nova nowhere near that bomb site. we'll see how much progression they could be making, as this is going to be a very difficult retake, as Mayhem now left all by himself here, Jen. I mean, a pretty awkward scenario. Does spot Diabolic heading inside of 10, but regardless, this should be a round in the books for Amity yet again.
Diabolic was so aggressive at the beginning of that round. He could have got first blood so easily, but picks up first and second blood, even getting the bomb down. Huge MVP for that round. Is pretty easy cleanup from there, as Amity will now take this 3-2, I believe. And after 2 consecutive rounds, it will head back into defense. And I mean, Orange didn't really send anybody too much towards water. They were really looking for that B bomb site push, getting really caught off guard from Diabolic jumping in their face like that. Not the most safe play that we've seen, maybe not something you typically see. People will usually use smokes to cut that off and take the safer way into A site. But now we have Orange back onto the offense where they're full rushing B.
Yeah, and you also see the guys on Amity not being fully aware of such, as they're kind of saying, well, hey, A's been working out pretty well for both of us, I think it's fair to say, GGA Orange, but it seems that the guys on Orange, back-to-back rounds, kind of realizing that potential of that B site is very crucial, and I think in the long run, this could really help them in the Search and Destroy for at least getting some confidence when it comes down to this site, but confidence quickly ruined as Diabolic taking heads right now, along with Remy. 2 kills with the sniper rifle, and just like that, talk about confidence definitely being given toward the Amity group, as Remy does miss a snipe, but probably the first one of this game is Believe. Awkward scenario to be in, as he will drop in. Let's go over toward Remy's, let's go over toward Remy's screen quick, as he's going to earn streaks with this defuse. 10 points, or no, actually I thought he was 10 points off the flamethrower, but earns that one as well, as back-to-back-to-back rounds being given toward Amity, as they've got a lot of confidence underway. And this is what I was talking about with this group, Jen, kind of coming into this map. I think this team is fully confident when it comes down to the Search and Destroy, and I think also is a very talented CTF team as well. So as the rounds start to kind of tick away, I think we are going to see the guys on GGA Orange start to be a little bit more aware of such. Not saying that they're going to play more passively, but CTF, at least when it comes down to this group on Amity, these are the 2 game modes that they prefer. This isn't a best of 5. You're not going to be seeing 2 hard points. It is, in fact, 1 game mode in total in this best of 3. So with that in mind, streaks starting to rain about, as those most likely are coming from either Diabolic or Remy. Not finding any kills, but maybe getting a little bit of information. Slowly but surely, Amity making their way up toward this B-bomb site. The player number 7, Nova, is just around the corner. We'll see if he can try to make a play here.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on him and Amity. I mean, have all the pressure on their shoulders, losing that hard point. And some nice kills. Look at GG Orange just completely collapsing onto Amity, who actually got first blood into this map. And they're still being so patient. I mean, I guess they waited to try and rein in these streaks. They got the information, but then didn't execute on the plan to actually go for the objective at the end. GG Orange starting with the disadvantage into this round, and then completely collapsed with all the kills happening within a couple seconds, as now still 4-3 in favor of Amity. But like I said, this is a best of 3, and Orange are in the power position. Not technically in this S&D, but in the series they are. So it's really Amity hoping they can push this to a CTF.
Absolutely, and this is a kind of a big risk if you're on the side of Amity at the moment. You see a lot of players kind of lingering toward that backside area of their spawn, because of the fact that we've seen, at least from the guys on GGA Orange, they've been forcing either bomb site, and the nades coming through will absolutely change that. I was going to say, you start to see them play a little bit more passively. You can even see their map positioning right now. Player number 1, player number 3 being fully aware of a potential B push. Why? Because GGA Orange has been a little bit scattered with their offensive pushes. They've been forcing both the B and the A site. And on the opposite end, it's been Amity who's been kind of brute forcing their way into A basically every single time. So being aware of what could have been a side push, but at least based on the positioning right now, you see all 4 arrows directed toward A. Most likely, they're expecting that the bomb was dropped if they haven't already seen it at this current time. But Believe needing to make a play does get spotted out. Worst time possible. Ascender will find that one for some easy pickings as a 1 versus 4 for Spoof, as it looks like the guys on Amity getting a round closer to forcing a map number 3 on Arden Forest for some CTF.
Well, it's got to be a problem with coordination out of Orange as well. It's been several rounds in a row that Amity have gotten first, second, and third blood, or at least first and second blood, putting them clearly in the advantage. And even in this last 4 versus 2, Spoofs and Believe were on the complete opposite ends of the map. So how are you going to win this number disadvantage when you're completely separated? Even when you got a sniper on the other team you got to deal with, Spoof is now completely cornered and doesn't want to feed streaks to the other team, and especially Remy, who's trying to go for it. Nonetheless, the time will run out, so he won't be feeding any more points. But 5-3, Amity are really crawling back into this series here.
In fact, they are, and I'm curious, as it looks like, yeah, we'll be the boys on Amity on offense. They have streaks to work with. Of course, Glide Bomb in the back pocket here for Remy. And tossing out that pre-nade and looking on as he does get some hit markers, so they at least know that there is some presence inside a middle statue. And it looks like they're going to be working on this B side. Of course, they've done it once prior, but still, they've been focusing a lot of attention toward that A-bomb site. As Remy, yet again, finding that first pick. I talked about him being such a talented sniper rifle. And obviously showing it when it comes into London Docks. I mean, this isn't even USS Texas. This is a map where, you know, obviously you'll see sniper rifles do some damage, but he's definitely making it look easy. As the time does start to dwindle, it's starting to dwindle in favor of Amity. GGA Orange now in an awkward spot. 2 versus 4 as it looks like it does find a pick for Believe. Shutting down Happy. And I believe there's going to be one player here. I believe that is player number 6, Spoofs, underneath this water sign. It ends up dropping, so currently on the back of Believe. A 1 versus 3 needed just to force around 10. Can he get it done, or will Amity force? CTF is the question. Player lingering on that bomb site. Yeah, it's going to be Diabolic. You got the sniper rifle the back lines, as I believe it will be Remy who closes this one out, as it will be the boys on Amity. Like I said, forcing a map number 3 with a dominant victory on some search and destroy, as they win this one in just 9 rounds of play. But I think generally, Jen, when it come down to this series, I really think it wasn't an issue with GGEAA, kind of with the slang. I think it was honestly just them getting a little bit, I was like maybe just a little bit too aware of their surroundings, I think, because we see both teams have success when it comes down to the A-bomb site on offense. I mean, they were just constantly hitting that bomb site. Both teams were having success when it came down to it. But it was GGEA Orange who kind of makes the initial push toward B. Doesn't work out for them. So now they're kind of put in a scatter place. Well, do we push back toward A? Because most likely the guys on Amity are going to realize that. So I think they kind of hurt themselves when they started to kind of change things up, because I think they were trying to catch the guys from Amity off guard, and when in reality it wasn't really working for them. I think the A site was definitely the preferred for both these teams. And I think it was Amity who was kind of realizing the situation at hand. If it's working for us, let's not change it. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. And then for GGA Orange, it was them trying to change things up. And I think they really kind of hurt themselves as they started to kind of linger toward the B-bomb site. Things didn't really work out for them. And I thought that, honestly, as far as the future of the game would kind of go on, as how it would kind of progress, that they would see success into kind of at least exploring different bomb sites. But in the end, it didn't really work out for them. And I think the early picks coming in from Remy definitely kind of changed the landscape of what would have been this series. I think he ended up finding at least 3 or 4 first bloods throughout that entire game.
Yeah, and Remy had a really great performance, only dropping 8 kills, which doesn't sound anything astounding, but the fact that he was such a good sniper rifle really changed the positioning of Orange and forcing their players to really separate and try and go for flanks. And it was just strange that Amity got first and second blood consistently round after round, and you got to say that's just got to be a weird positioning out of Orange, or they're not winning the gunfights that they're supposed to. And even in that last round that we saw, you saw Mayhem pushing bottom water by himself in a 4 versus 2 situation when the other guy was on the other side of the map. So Orange were playing a lot more separated than they were supposed to at the number disadvantage. And when Amity start first and second blood, it's kind of really tough to come back from that. Nonetheless, we do go into map number 3 here of Arden Forest on CTF, where who do you want to spectate first, Landon?
That's a good question to be asked. I definitely want to look on board with Amity. I think off the start of the CTF, I think that they're feeling pretty confident. I'm not sure if we're going to see a restart or not, because I think Believe did that last time, so it looks like they're going to be switching teams successfully this time. But I think when it comes down to this series, I think we are going to see Amity play more confident. Whether that hurts them or not is obviously the question at hand right now. But they obviously win Search and Destroy. I think a game mode that I personally was expecting them to win, as far as like their history, as far as each of these players' past is considered, that was a game mode that they've always been kind of good at. But now for some CTF, this is of course both these teams, in their own respects, of course, have kind of either teamed in the past, as a 3/4 of this group were obviously a team back in Black Ops 3, but you also have the guys from Allegiance. They've been teaming for a while here as well. As confidence, chemistry will obviously come into play, both these teams possessing at least one of those 2 qualities. As the map does load up, having to be aware that currently the guys from Amity are on the non-preferred side, at least as far as what games I've been able to watch. As that back bunker spawn can be absolutely lethal, because if you end up dropping 2 or 3 players, it can be very, very difficult to try and rebound on, as it looks like Believe will continue on with that flags. With the first 40 seconds of this map number 1, or map number 3, excuse me, we see Believe getting streaks along with a first flag cap, as they're definitely showing that, hey, we can hang in CTF. This may not be our preferred game mode, at least in the past, but we can definitely do some work when it comes to Arden Forest.
Yeah, that was an amazing flag pull out of Believe and coming through the mid and then coming around everybody while his team were slaying out. So pretty, like you said, Amidia a little bit at a spawn disadvantage. Nonetheless, we'll see if they'll be able to strike back. But if you can look in the overview, Amidia's playing very cautiously, very patient, not moving around the map too much, trying to focus on kills and moving forward as a unit. They do drop Happy and now Rem, so now they have to play here onto the defense where GGEA Orange coming through the ruin side, trying to make them spawn out. But Happy now spawned up. They got 4 players up, but now 3 go down for Orange as they did try to go on the offensive. So we're going to take a look at Diabolic here, who could be in a position to move forward for the flagpole. Has to deal with Believe here in Cabin. Easy kills there, and now he's moving forward. But the rest of Orange here on the defense.
And for the most part, what we're going to be seeing, at least as far as like arrows are considered, of course, blue being the side of Amity, and of course the orange team, which I know is kind of confusing, but is the red squad. Be noticing blue arrows are moving a lot slower for the most part. I think it's fair to say, at least on history, when it comes into sides as well as kind of previous experience in CTF. We have 2 different teams from kind of 2 different eras as far as things are mostly considered. And as the blue arrows have kind of made a slow but kind of lingering push, it looks like over time and progression, patience will pay off. Diabolic able to be running with that flag. It was one player, I believe Mayhem, who was on the flank, who was trying to stop what could have been a push from happening. He ends up dropping, and now currently sitting inside a cabin, trying to weather the storm as the fighter pilot bullets will expire. Nova trying to play spoils as right now Cinder needing to kind of be a bait, but here comes the push. A little bit too slow of a play, as right now the guys from Amity are halted right now. They can't really move out of this position right here, Jen.
Oh my god. So many streaks coming in from Believe. The initial one just to get the information, the second one to clean up the flag carrier. It is Cinder that recovers it, and just like that, gets shut down. The flag is then returned. So that's what they get for letting Orange go on such a stride in the first minute of the game and giving Believe all the streaks he needed to shut down the first opportunity here for Amity, and it looked good, but they had cabin control. All they had to do was move forward, and then you saw Diabolic turn around with the flag and try and engage another player instead of maybe get on a more favorable head glitch to deal with that gunfight. Nonetheless, it's only one opportunity shut down. We still got 1:45 into this first round, where Orange are now playing a little bit more defensively, trying to play their numbers, but to keep an eye here on Remy in this middle map, who's going to just pass Mayhem up here. There he is. And he is able to get that kill now, moving towards the ruin side. You can see Spoofs is spawning back onto the flag. He's going to play a little bit of defense, but it's trades back and forth as both teams playing very cautiously.
And basically what you're seeing Spoofs do right now, he's waiting for his teammates to find the kills. Once they do such, he's going to grab the flag, and if his teammates don't find the kills, which they currently haven't, he's going to try to take out that flag carrier, or maybe try to make a rush of his own. So playing passively, as you're going to see player number 8 try to join up with him. Coming from Cave, Spoofs has made his presence known, takes out Cinder, and here come the streaks. These have been earned since the beginning of this match. Those most likely coming in from Believe, as they spoil the first flag capture attempt from Amity. Can they do it again? Flag in the hands of Happy, flag in the hands of Spoofs, as he ends up dropping, it looks like. But I think it might have been a different player. I think they might have had a little bit of a concatcher glitch there. But regardless, flag in hand of both teams. Happy from one side, Spoof from the other, but Nova tries to make a secret push. Cinder is there for the trade, so a little bit of scary moments coming in from Amity. But regardless, they have the flag in their possession. Keeping in mind the CTF overtime rules, things could get interesting. Is Remy kind of being a scout at the moment? Nova, of course, being aware of such, pulls up that bar and back bridge, and is kind of playing head glitch at the moment, kind of playing for peaks, as it does work out. Believe up close, taking out, or excuse me, Diabolic taking out Believe in that scenario. As the last few seconds start to tick down, we'll see if a push can be made. Stalemate currently underway, as it looks like Diabolic and Remy both get taken out. If you guys are new to CTF, of course, new overtime rule added. Extra 60 seconds if a flag is in possession of at least one player. That obviously is Nova trying to make another push. As you see scouts kind of being sent out from both of these teams, but it's kind of a constant 3 versus 4 situation at the highest regard. And normally at the time it doesn't work out, but right now you see Nova trying to make something happen, isn't able to do so. And with stuns being tossed out, Mayhem desperately trying to take out Cinder, does receive some shots, and can he find the kill? Yes, Mayhem does make it happen, but doesn't have any teammate support along with him. All 3 arrows for his squad are in the back of the base. And this is kind of an awkward spot here, Jen.
It is awkward, and also Midi have been playing a 4-player defense is pretty much this entire stalemate when they're the ones at the disadvantage. So if anything, it's been always Orange sending 2 players to go get the other flag carrier, so kind of risky, but should be really the other way around. Should be Orange that are keeping this 4-man defense, and they're trying to lay around middle map, seeing to catch a Midi push up and catch them off guard and then engage onto that, but a Midi just kept the 4-man defense the entire time. They go into round number 2 at a disadvantage after overtime did dwindle down, but we haven't seen any flag capture since the first minute of the game.
Yeah, that's something to kind of keep in mind. That first kind of flag capture that happens within, like, what, 41, 42 seconds to be exact, obviously comes in from Belief. He finds the kills necessary and makes the play happen. I mean, if he doesn't earn streaks in the first 40 seconds of this game, this series, in map number 3, of course, would be level at 1-1, because that was the only reason why Amity couldn't get that flag out, was because a Mortar Strike and a Glide Bomb were kind of making the players inside a cabin having problems. And they were obviously, did get silenced for the most part. But keeping in mind, at least from Landon's opinion, I think currently it is the guys from Amity who are on the more preferred side as far as spawns are considered, as it looks like Diabolic does grab this one early, kind of a similar situation to what we saw at the first half of 5 minutes. As Remy watching through Fire Cut, tossing up that smoke. This is trying to make things a little bit easier for his teammate to rush forward. And just very good babysitting on the flag carrier coming in from Remy, but Mayhem finds 2 big ones. The return comes in, and just like that, not a duplicate performance in the first half. This one will get returned from the guys on GGEA Orange.
Wow, getting 3 down just like that, but let's take a look here. I believe he has his teammates down and he goes down as well. Huge kills coming out of Remy to get also the flag return and saving a Midi from getting punished after that one. Nonetheless, both teams are now going to try and reset and count the numbers and move out of the base. But look at this positioning from Happy. He's waiting for everybody from GGEA Orange to leave the spawn, but he gets a kill there onto Mayhem. So now GGEA Orange are aware of him, able to get the trade in the process. So need a little bit more backup to get the flag pull. Nonetheless, it is a Midi here at the disadvantage.
It is Remy able to maybe get that flag out. Has it in his hands, and you see one player just around that smoke is totally confused as to where his position could be. Cinder sacrifices his life, and it will be a worthy exchange at that. As both teams, I think it's fair to say, Jen, up until this point, playing heavy offense, but it's the defensive teams that have obviously played better. And that's the reason why we haven't seen a flag capture happen after what has been the first 2 minutes of this second half. And if you are the guys on the Amity, as time starts to dwindle, they're more of a slower paced CTF team. As their patience, will it work out? Or can the guys on GGEA Orange show some aggression, or at least hold what is a current lead? 3 go down. Mayhem is set to grab the flag. Happy, though, trying to hold down that cut. And this is a big 1v1 that Mayhem needs to win. He'll do so. At the same time, Believe takes that one from behind. At the same time, we talk about Mayhem. On a streak, earns those and is on a run. Has spoofs to watch his back, but player number 3 is here through mid-cut. Can he make somewhat of an impact? And I believe Mayhem's fully aware of it. Cinder trying to watch through that cut. If they have a smoke or a stun, anything to push Cinder back, they can make this push happen. The stun goes out, but Cinder is still here. But here comes the streak from Mayhem, the guy who actually has the flag in his hands, drops all 3, even if they were coming from behind. A perfect streak usage coming in from this man, as he'll put that one in along with a 7 streak, make it maybe even an 8 streak. Mayhem will fall in that situation, but beautifully played from the guys on GGEA Orange.
That was really beautiful played, as you said. Mayhem pulling the flag, but it was really Believe coming through the middle of the map, able to clear up the middle way so that Mayhem was free to go through room inside. And oh my god, the confidence out of this guy to range streaks in when he had the flag still in his hand. He was surrounded by teammates, so it was all fine, but could have just went for the flag cap nonetheless. Great and smart, really smart decisions out of GGEA Orange. And Midi now just have all the pressure on their shoulders. Only a minute and a half to get to flag caps, and Mayhem's not going to stop here. He's going to sneak into the base and actually pull the flag, but he's going to get quickly punished for that.
And a lot of people would say, as the looks like we could actually see Nova potentially grab this one and continue on this push. I was going to say, a lot of people would kind of debate that argument for Mayhem to use a glide bomb to try to get the flag out, probably feeling pretty confident, but he actually makes a pretty decent run. And at that, it's going to be a little bit of a rebound coming in from Nova, as that's going to be the 3rd flag captured here for the boys on GGEA Orange. A minute left, and as these kills start to take place, you like to imagine that these could be consolation kills at that, as a huge amount of momentum, a big push needs to be made from Amity, and they are locked down in their base, all 4 in back bridge. And Mayhem, he's waiting here with the Flames. It's time to get warm after kind of running around in this snow, as Happy, unfortunately, is not. And Diabolic also gets burned to a crisp. So Mayhem feeling pretty good. Obviously, he's the reason why the last 2 flag captures do go down, as this one is going to go the way of GGA Orange as they close out CTF here, Jen.
Yeah, 30 seconds remain. Like, these kills don't really matter as much. It'd be quite the run to get all 3 of these caps. So, wow, after that pretty impressive performance into the hard point, I think, what was it, 250 to 158, and MIDI were able to at least answer back and strike back into the S&D, and in the CTF, you saw the first flag capture from Orange in the first minute of the game, so you're already nervous.
Wait, did Remy just do a backwards dolphin dive?
I don't know what just happened. There's so many streaks onto the map. It's actually World War II in the Ardennes Forest right now.
Can someone Twitch clip that, please? I need to see that again. I'm really confused. I know, Jen, I don't believe you saw that, but essentially Remy like did a backwards dolphin dive just for you know, giggles at the end. I'm not sure if he was just like, hey stream, here you go, like here's a little tip, or what really that was. But either way, it is the guys on GGEA Orange who closed this series out in a 2-1 fashion. Granted, it does say 4-0, but in general, it was a fairly close CTF map through and through. And there were a few moments that we can kind of break down, I think it's fair to say, Jen, throughout what kind of obviously granted the side of GGEA for the possession and the lead that they obviously gained toward the end. Of course, we talked about it at the beginning of this match. It was, I believe it was Believe who ends up finding those first few kills off the break. They end up firing in a cap within the first 40 seconds. And then the first opportunity that we see for Amity, also on the first side of 5 minutes, they're able to kind of get a flag out, but they're locked down in cabin. And that's the reason why they get locked down in cabin, is because of the early streaks that were earned, obviously, for Believe. He kind of locks them down with that mortar strike, kind of keeps them inside cabin where they literally can't do anything. So kind of an unfortunate situation for Amity, but it was just a number of kind of big sequence plays that we see in the second half coming in for Mayhem. I mean, he kind of obviously ended up making a run of his own, picking up like 2 or 3 kills, ended up finding himself on a 7 spree. And then after already putting in a flag cap for his team, he's feeling so confident, he literally calls in a glide bomb just to kind of pave the way of his position, grabs yet again another flag, makes his way all through, I believe, Forest, where I believe a teammate's there. I want to say it was Mayhem or Nova, who's able to kind of grab the flag and ends up scoring it in. So I think there was just some big momentum plays that we see from GGA Orange, but yet again, another slaying difficulties from Amity, as I don't have the scoreboard in front of me anymore, but they were definitely kind of having some issues when it came down to that slaying category. I mean, seeing guys go on 7, 5, 6 sprees at times, I mean, you really can't afford to have that, especially happening in CTF with the 7.5 respawn delay. I mean, that is just absolutely killer to your confidence when you're constantly staring at a respawn delay screen.
She is